Hi, everyone, and welcome. The sports writers are here. We have Phil Stacy, Matt Williams, and Nick Kukuru all with us here this week. I'm not sure Nick Giannino may be joining us in a few minutes, but we'll see how that works out. But, gentlemen, we got a bunch of things to discuss from last week, maybe a peek ahead to this week. Power rankings came out for the very first time. We don't have to go over all the power rankings for all the sports, but any quick observations? I think, as we saw with the fall sports, sometimes they're indicative, and many times they're just not indicative at this point of the year with the league play and non-league play and the mixtures. So, either one, any of you guys want to tackle that one? Power rankings, week one.
Really, I think you made a point that the NEC girls basketball was pretty well represented in the power ranking. Was that did you tweet that out? Did I see?
Not that bad. No, the NEC girls basketball is
Well, I'm sorry,
dog.
the girls, the hockey. I'm sorry, the hockey.
Yeah. I mean, I was surprised to see Peabody all the way up at number 4. Winthrop number 5, even though they're undefeated, beat Peabody. They play a worse schedule, so they're lower. And then Beverly at 13, although they'll be dropping after they lost to Pope Francis, was number 18, and then they played Woburn today, and Woburn's not any good. So even though they won, that might drop their ranking there a little bit. But I was surprised to see Peabody at number 4. I mean, they have pretty much the same schedule as last year, and last year with a similar record, they were fighting tooth and nail for that 15-16 spot to try to guarantee themselves a first round home game, right? So to vault all the way up into the top 5, I thought was a pretty interesting development there. I think, Beverly being a little bit better is a difference, maybe giving them a few more points there. And, I will see how it plays out the rest of the way. I mean, they play Medford twice, and some other teams that are a little bit lower. So, but they haven't played like the Iron. I mean, they play Winthrop twice. They still gonna play them again, Beverly again. So, nice to see them up there at number 4. The other thing I observed was I thought the NEC boys basketball was higher than normal, or at least higher than they were last year. Peabody, I know boys had a great record last year and had barely even a play-in game there, and they were up towards the top 20. Marblehead and Salem looking good in Division 2 for NEC boys. So I think the parity in the NEC boys is helping out, whereas the NEC girls for basketball I thought was the exact opposite. I mean, Peabody's 7-0, ridiculously dominant team, and is not even
The
in the
31st, right?
Yeah, I mean, ridiculous. But they're playing Fenwick in 2 weeks. They're playing Lincoln Sudbury, so they haven't played out the string yet. But I mean, they're just in a dominant world where you just wonder if they're playing the same sport as everybody else. I mean, there was a game on Friday night that the final score was 16-10, and then Peabody went out and scored 96 points. And these are teams that are in the same league. I mean, that's just that's crazy. And I mean, I guess, hey, a lot of different style of game can happen, right? You can go to a baseball game and it can be 20-18 with 10 home runs, or you can go to a baseball game and have it be 1-0 with 25 strikeouts, right? So I guess I shouldn't say maybe they're not playing the same sport, but I just thought that was a staggering juxtaposition to see a 16-10 final score and then see another team that had 6 girls in double figures, whereas the whole team scored 10 for a whole game. I mean, that just shows you that the NEC is a little bit down, I think, in girls this year. And I don't say that to be insulting, but that's just what happens with the power rankings really make that very evident. It's harder for us to, I think, and you guys can weigh in too, because we like to pump up all the local teams, and if it's competitive, it's competitive. But these power rankings make it kind of harder to say that it's a tough competitive league when all the teams are just not ranked as highly as teams in other leagues. I mean, it's all just here in black and white on the spreadsheet.
No, you're right. I mean, you just look nearby at the Catholic Central League, Willie, for the girls basketball, and you have St. Mary's is number 1 in Division 3, which you'd expect, 9-1 team. But Fenwick is 5-3. They're good. I don't think even Adam DeBadges probably would not say they are great this year. I think they could be in a year. But this year they're a solid, if unspectacular team, but they're number 3 in the standings. You mentioned Peabody, undefeated, but they're 31 in Division 1. I think Masconomet and Danvers are currently both below that 32 team threshold. Nick, I don't know about Gloucester where the girls are, but Yeah, it's been tough sledding for the conference a little bit. Even, and Nick, you can talk more about this. Manchester Essex was like number 7, in Division 4, I want to say. Ipswich was in Division 3 at maybe like number 19. Hamilton Wenham around 17 in Division 4. So, yeah, that does speak to what Willie was saying, in that it's a down year, at least as far as the power rankings go, for our Northeastern Conference schools. But for some of our others in the Cape Ann League and Catholic Central League, excuse me, they're getting the rankings that they would like.
Nick Kukuru, do you want to make an observation on that from the Cape Ann point of view perspective?
Well, I thought I wasn't really surprised as far as, from my teams from my area are concerned. I know the first power ranking is usually a little out of whack. You have to talk to some coaches, tell them that, it all evens out in the end. But I wasn't too surprised where any of the teams on Cape Ann landed. Manchester Essex boys and girls hoop, ranked in the top 10. Those are the only 2 top 10 ranked teams on Cape Ann. I think they might have been the only 2 top 15 teams ranked on Cape Ann even. So, but yeah, I wasn't really surprised to see where anybody was.
I just wanted to look at one thing here. So here's one for
Guys,
you.
Bill, we could mention, it's not really a surprise. I don't think that St. John's Prep is number 1 in Division 1. They're 7-1-1 now after their win on Sunday against Malden Catholic. Big week for them with Zavarian on Wednesday, and then they play at BC High Sunday. But they're 1 there. I did think, and Nick, you probably noticed this yourself when looking for Gloucester in Division 2, dominated by South Shore teams. 9 of the top 10 power ranked teams are all from the South Shore: Duxbury, Canton, Walpole, Silver Lake, Whitman, Hanson, Oliver Ames, North Attleboro. I think the lone exception there is Tewksbury, although you might have Algonquin, which I guess is considered Central Mass. I think Marblehead was 13, although they had a tie Monday today. If you listen to this on Tuesday, it's Monday, with Medford, which could help them there. Masconomet was 15, and Gloucester was what, 19, Nick, I want to say?
I think they were 20.
They were 20, okay. So probably right about where those teams should be. Again, I think much like the NEC girls basketball, the Northeastern Conference for hockey might be a bit down this year, with the possible exception of Winthrop, which of course is Division 4 school and only 4 divisions in hockey. And I wanted to say they were 1. I'm sorry, they were 3 when it came out behind Norwell and Sandwich, I want to say, the other day. But it reflects among the Division 2 and 3 teams in the NEC that we're not seeing a whole lot of upward push there. I think Danvers was 23 in Division 3 when I looked the other day. One surprise to me was that Essex Tech, which they won their game today against a really good Shawsheen team. So that they're now 9-0-1, the only undefeated boys hockey team in the area, yet they were only 12 in the Division 3 rankings. And that's hugely because of the league schedule they play. Other than Shawsheen, they don't get tested very often within the league, playing the likes of Minuteman and Neshoba and Northeast and teams like that. Have a good test when they play Danvers this Wednesday. Like I said, it was a good win today for them over Shawsheen. That could bump them up. I think ideally they'd like to be top 8, so you're guaranteed, if you win your opener, you're guaranteed at least 2 home games. But the schedule is what the schedule is. Linfield right now is currently top seed in Division 3, but we're only halfway through the regular season here. We got a lot of hockey still to be played, a lot of shuffling of these power rankings of both the hockey and the basketball. So be curious to see how these shake out.
Let me add one more thing here. So what do you think is the top Division 1 boys basketball team on the North Shore?
Division 1?
Division 1. Well, that would include Lynn. So let me feed the answer to you, maybe. Probably Lynn English, right? They've been blowing people away.
That would be my guess, yeah.
Yeah, they are ranked in the number 16. So that's how much, and probably that's the Greater Boston League is hurting them in their overall ranking for sure. But number 16. And Beverly is just at 19 in D1 boys basketball, is certainly no one would think that Beverly would be that close to Lynn English. You know what I mean? They're not that far apart, but this is not the Beverly team of a few years ago. But they're working hard. And the other team down there at 21 then is, or check that at 22 is Peabody boys basketball. So again, Lynn English 16, Beverly, what did I say, 19, and then Peabody 22. I mean, I think the Beverly and Peabody rankings are pretty fair. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but Lynn English, it seems to me they're clearly a top 5 team, as from what I've been hearing. So,
but I mean, I know Classical's down. Medford is not any great shakes. Malden, I think, has a decent record, but I can't imagine that they are a powerhouse.
no,
Is what, a 500 team. So I think English, yeah, is just a victim of who they are playing in the scheduling. I mean,
yeah,
I don't. I mean, I'm just looking at. I mean, the GBL is usually a pretty good basketball league. Everett's been to many North finals and state finals. But I'm looking at English's non-league now. They opened up with Chelsea, so I mean that's not going to help you.
well, that
Skip
Chelsea's in the GB,
Academy.
Chelsea's in the GBL.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I
I
think
must
so.
have
Yeah,
missed that. I thought they
I
were
think
still
so.
in
Yeah,
there.
I
Yeah,
thought they
okay. So I
were.
mean, it's not your father's GBL. I guess you bring Chelsea, and that's going to bring your RPI down by
Yeah,
quite a bit. But
well,
I would
just look at
think,
the
I mean,
opponent rating here. I mean, all the schools ahead of them, their opponent rating is, 9.5, 9.7, 10.3, 8.7. English's opponent rating is 0.8. So while they're winning games by an average, the maximum 10 points per game, they're just not getting any help from the opponents they play.
oh
yeah,
my gosh, you're
I
right.
mean,
I didn't notice how different that was. Oh my God, like Beverly has a
Yeah,
10 opponent rating,
right.
and Lynn English is at a .8. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's striking. I mean, think about, Beverly went to the Christmas tournament up there in North Andover, the Commonwealth Motors Classic. They played Catholic Memorial on Sunday afternoon. They played Lawrence.
Lawrence twice now. They played Lawrence
Yeah,
twice. Yeah.
right.
Lawrence is
So
number one. Yeah.
yeah, so they're obviously getting a much better level of competition than Lynn English is, even though Lynn English beat them handily head to head.
Yeah.
it's just
So,
interesting because the math may say that, but I mean, the GBL is traditionally a strong basketball league. I mean, with having taken English and classical, it's certainly better than the NEC top to bottom. I think, I mean, just in terms of tournament results over the last 10, 15 years.
yeah.
Sometimes it takes a bit too for those non-league strength of schedules to kick in. I know, what was it, going back to the fall, was it field hockey season, Phil? I think the NEC didn't have a great ranking, and then all of a sudden Swampscott beat Newburyport, and you saw about
Right.
4 NEC teams jump up about 5 or 6 spots just from one win. All it takes is a good out of conference win, even from an opponent, to jump that number up.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
Everett
that's
goes
true.
out and beats, Central Catholic or something, some MVC team. I mean, boys basketball is tough, man. They're very top heavy. Not only like Phil said with Division II in the hockey, those South Shore teams, same as football. Your Hockomock teams are all nasty. Your Bay State Conference teams are really good, and then you throw in the MVC, and I mean, if you're not in one of those 3 leagues, it's an uphill climb for sure for the boys basketball.
All right. I want to, I mean, good discussion, I think, on these first power rankings here. I'll rate it a 9, out of 10. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
I'll take part of the blame for that lost point, but whatever. So now, let's say, what did we learn last week in some local sports? Because I'm watching the clock here, but I also want you guys to be able to have some time to peek ahead and look ahead at what for sports fans to look for this coming week in North Shore sports. So, Phil, let me start with you. What did we learn last week, especially, I guess, since you cover a lot of boys hockey?
Mhm. Well, I think we learned that Bishop Fenwick was not as bad as their record may have indicated. They lost their first 7 games, and there were some games where they played really, really well. I mean, I think Josh Millman's had a really nice year in net for Fenwick, but they just weren't able to score. I think they had, was it like 10 goals in their first 7 games or something like that? It was not great. They were just not getting a lot of offensive production. But I watched them play at Fenway Park. They had a scrimmage with the ice down, where some high school teams have been able to do that with Archbishop Williams. And, I could tell that, they're a team that can click. They're a good skating team. I think that the problem was maybe just getting to the net and getting shots on net and maybe getting that volume they needed to put some shots together. Well, lo and behold, they win their first game Saturday night. They shut out Arlington Catholic 1-0 with Cam Anderson scoring, the defenseman. They come back today against Lowell Catholic and they produce a 3-1 win. So that's 2 in a row for Fenwick. Is anybody booking trips to the Garden for them in March? No, but it's a start. I think this is a team that has some weapons that could, they could fare well over the second half of the year. They get AC again Wednesday on the road, another chance for a win. Northern Middlesex after that. Then they hit a little bit of an iron with St. Mary's and Andover, but then you're right back with Bishop Fee. And so I could see them getting on a little bit of a roll here, especially if Millman continues to play well. They've got really nice play from Anthony Sasso on defense. I like to play a Colton Carpenter. He's a freshman up front. He's looked pretty good. Who else? Brady McCormick is another junior forward I think has played all right. I think if Manny Alvarez Segui, the captain, can get untracked, he and Chris Stevens, 2 of the captains, they can start producing some more offense. I think Fenwick's going to be okay. So that to me is something that I learned. I think Fenwick is going to be, I don't know if I'd say okay, but they're going to be better than people may have feared early on when they weren't winning straight out of the gate here. But they're going to be all right.
Matt, how about yourself? What did you learn this week as far as high school athletics?
I'm trying to think. There wasn't a whole lot kind of in my neck of the woods. I think most things were kind of business as usual, I think I think we learned in the track world that Alex Jackson's going to throw the shot put a whole long way. I mean, he threw it a meet record 53 feet and 53 9.5 as a sophomore, and he's spinning, which, I mean, if the track junkies out there, most shot putters, they go from the glide, which is just, you bend down, you push off and you heave it. When you start spinning like it's the discus at this age, that's pretty special. So, I mean, that's a pretty ridiculous throw, and he's going to only throw it further and further. So that's something that we learned, certainly. I think on the girls' hockey side, we learned that Marblehead, similar to the Fenwick boys, I mean, they might be better than their record showed. They lost 6 or 7 games in a row, and now they've strung together back-to-back wins, back-to-back shutouts by their 8th grade goalie, Liv Doucette. And, they've been keeping the puck out of the net pretty well all season. They've been snake bit offensively. And we just said to Coach Brittany Smith, geez, if you guys can keep playing this defense and get some puck luck, you're going to beat some people. And then they went out and they won a 1-0 game on Thursday. And then they beat a pretty good Newburyport team at home on Saturday night, 3-0. So they're continuing to play that lockdown defense. And now they're getting some pucks to go into the net. And they might be able to kind of right the ship here a little bit and see if they can collect some points. Not to go back to the power ranking discussion, but, Marblehead, there's only 40 teams in Division I for girls hockey. So to get in the tournament, you only have to beat out 8 other teams in terms of the power ratings. I mean, Marblehead was 2-7 and was 28th going into the week, when the rankings came out on Friday, and they just upset Newburyport, which was number 22. So they're only going to go up. So, I mean, you're sitting here and looking, Marblehead, they're 3-7 and they're right in the thick of this thing. So it is certainly far from season over for them, where you really only got to beat out 8 other teams to get into the tournament and punch your ticket. And for a young team that only has, I think, 1 or 2 seniors, that's pretty good. It's nice to see them, fighting. And, I encourage everybody to go back and read about their mental health awareness game that they played and they won on Saturday for Rachel Mackey, who played there and passed away in 2019. They play in her memory, and her parents were there. Rose Raymond got some great photos. So I would just encourage everybody to take a look and perhaps donate if you can.
Sounds good. Nick Kukuru?
I think we learned is in both the Manchester Essex boys and girls. They're the teams to beat on the Cal Baker. They both beat Georgetown Friday. which moved both of them into sole possession of first in the Cal Baker standings. Both 5-point games, both really good games. They'll meet again. There should be that might be for the outright conference championship next time they play. But the boys are 8-1. Their only loss was a non-leaguer to Burke, which could be a potential Division IV playoff opponent, and that was a close game. And the girls have only lost to Newburyport and Pentucket, which is the class of the Cal, large and small by a long shot. They've handled everybody else. They beat Triton on Monday afternoon. I was over there today, and they really spread the ball around. I think they've had in 10 games, I think they've had 7 different leading scorers. So they really spread the ball around. They can have someone lead them every night. And also, I think getting back to the boys hockey, Gloucester boys hockey looks like they've kind of turned a bit of a corner these last few games. They beat Masco, they tied Winthrop in a game that they really carried the play last Wednesday, but I think they were kind of a team searching for an identity early on. I mean, let's be honest, their identity the last 2 years was, Jack Costanzo and Emerson Marshall, and without them in the lineup, they were kind of looking to find their own way. And I think they found it. They don't put up goals, as abundantly as they did with those two, but they're still very fast, and I think they've figured out how to utilize that speed. It's been quick puck movement and just getting up and down the ice quickly, and it seemed to work for them because it was a great win over Masco for them. They hadn't beat Masco since 1998 in the Division II state tournament, which is a little bit deceiving. They only played 7 times since, but they hadn't beaten them in a long time, and Masco's kind of owned them recently. That kind of jump started them into a good performance against Winthrop too.
What about a peek ahead to this week? While you're there, Nick Kukuru, why don't you hang on? And any games to watch this week in any of the sports from Gloucester, Rockport, Manchester, Essex, and so on?
Yeah, I know Manchester, Essex, and Hamilton Wenham play on basketball on Friday. Those are both usually good games. I think the girls are in Manchester, the boys are up in Hamilton. Gloucester boys hoop plays Danvers. That's a big NEC Lynch division game. Gloucester boys have been pretty solid this year. They're 5-3. They graduated a lot, so they've really had some guys step up so far this season. They gave Beverly a real run for their money on Friday. I know Beverly pulled it out with a big second half, but Gloucester is scrappy and well coached. So they're kind of in it against anybody.
Yeah, that was an interesting score. You're right, that Beverly Gloucester game, right? Exactly. Matt, how about yourself? Something to look to this week?
Well, I'll pinch it a little bit for Giannino here. I know Salem and Beverly are playing basketball Tuesday night, and the boys' side and the girls' side too. But the boys' one is certainly one of the best games of the year. It has been every year since Matt Karakutis got to Beverly, and certainly big NEC championship implications in that one. And then later on in the week, the Beverly boys get a rematch against Marblehead, which I think was one of their league losses this year. So big time jockeying in the standings for the NEC, done for boys basketball going on this week. And on the girls hockey side, I'll stick with the Panthers, the orange and black of Beverly. Thursday, they got the Colleen Ritzer Memorial game, which is always a great cause. You want to pink the rink over there in Andover. And then they play a huge one Saturday at Winthrop. Undefeated Winthrop hasn't given away a league point since December of 2021. So, I mean, it's been a while. They're on quite the regular season run. Beverly, I think, unquestionably the third best team in the league right now behind Winthrop and Peabody, and they get their first chance to try to take some points from the Vikings. So I definitely have my eye on that one. And quickly just sticking with Beverly, I do not know. The boys hockey team's got Amesbury. They're still looking for that first win. I just wanted to bring that up only because I know we talked about the prep basketball team and their foibles being a little bit winless last week on the show. And they went out and got their first win. So I thought maybe if we brought up poor Coach Scott's, tough puck luck over there in Beverly, that maybe we could work the same kind of magic and get the Panthers into the win column there sometime this week because, I'm a big fan of Andy's and I know he's doing a pretty good job over there. And those guys could probably use 2 points somewhere just to get their confidence up. Because, I mean, I'm sure they're working hard and, things haven't rewarded them just yet. But I'm sure it's coming down the horizon somewhere for those guys.
I don't think he by and large, I don't think he has a problem with the effort that's being put forward. It's, as you said, it's just a matter of putting it all together for 45 minutes and coming out with the, the end result from all that hard work they put in. So I believe he feels it's coming shortly.
I mean, they're not gonna, they're too good to go over. I mean, I hope I don't have egg on my face, but I don't think that's gonna happen. So it's really just a matter of time for them.
Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe sticking with the basketball for a minute, Bill, we can look at some of the girls' games this week. I know a decent game on Thursday night, non-leaguer, where Marblehead is playing at Essex Tech. That should be interesting for hoop fans. And of course, on Friday night, big one up in Willie's neck of the woods, where, actually, former neck of the woods, I guess. No, it is, that game is at Masco. So PBD at Masco. Thinking on Friday night, first game won by PBD. Masco gets a chance at revenge. Have they righted the ship? Can they give PBD a game? We shall see. Also, just on the boys' side, Nino would tell us if he was here. Beverly is playing Everett at the TD Garden on Saturday afternoon.
Oh yeah, another one. Huge week for them. Wow.
Yeah, part of that showcase that Steve Gibbs runs, the Pingree coach and Hoop Mountain guy. He runs at the Garden every year. 1:30 p.m. start for Beverly Everett at the Garden on Saturday afternoon. That should be a really good take. Boys hockey wise,
Phil, let me while you're on there, let me just interrupt you then. Just on that game at the Garden, the January 21st game against Everett you just mentioned. I know we put some posts up this week on our website. I think you probably had stuff as well. Nino did, that they're looking to sell tickets for that. The way it works is they need to sell tickets to get money back, so they can, because they're playing in that, and it's to benefit the charity. So you can get them at the high school athletic office or whatever, or look on our website, the MSO New Sports website. A couple of posts we have with Matt Karakoutis has all the information for you. But get your tickets from Beverly, get them ahead before you go down to the Garden, before you make your travel plans to the Garden, as Phil would say. But anyways, do that. So get them through the Beverly Athletic Office, or there's other emails and links on those posts on the banners there. So, but if just have to search back on our website. Sorry, Phil. Take it.
No problem at all. I just wanted to segue into the boys hockey. Couple of really good games Wednesday going on almost simultaneously over at the Essex Sports Center that Willie and I will be at. Danvers Essex Tech, 6:30. I alluded to that one earlier. Danvers has been off since losing to Marblehead last week, and Essex Tech coming off of a good win today against Shawsheen. So can Danvers end Essex Tech's unbeaten season, or do the Hawks keep rolling with a marquee win for the program over a Northeastern Conference established team? And then St. John's Prep hosts Zavarian, rematch last year's state final, Division I state final. Eagles are rolling. Visiting Hawks don't have the same rarefied air as St. John's, but always very, very good. Coach Dave Spillane does a nice job over there. So test for the Prep medal on Wednesday. Those are both out. Essex Tech Danvers is 6:30. Prep Zavarian is at 6:40, I believe. On Saturday, I'm looking at Swampscott Peabody. Peabody looking to get back in the win column. Swampscott coming off a good win today over at Hamilton Wenham. They're at 5-4. Peabody looking to turn things around a little bit. So can the host Tanners do that? I should say Peabody Saugus. Sorry, the co-op. Also looking at Danvers hosting Gloucester 5:30 over at Endicott. Should be a great game. I think those two teams are pretty evenly matched. Like Kooks mentioned, Gloucester on the upswing. We don't know how Danvers will do against Essex Tech, but win or lose, they'll be coming into this rivalry game hungry for 2 points. So looking forward to that. And then again on Sunday, St. John's Prep back in action. They go to UMass Boston to take on BC High. BC High is the only team to beat St. John's this year, 2-1 in overtime during the Pete Frady's Winter Classic. I know the Prep felt as though they could have given a better effort against BC High in that loss, got stifled a little bit offensively. Since then, they've really opened it up and been pouring a lot more goals. So it would be it'd be a good test for them to see how they do against that big BC High commitment to team defense that they play. Players get pucks on net and produce the goals they need to win.
All right, guys. Anything else you guys want to mention here to close it out? Any other something we haven't touched on? Anything coming up in the papers? Anything you like to share with us here as we talk on Monday and post on Tuesday this week?
You know what? I had a chance to. It hasn't been in the newspaper yet, but you can look for this. I wanted to do a story on Jack Grady, who is a swimmer slash diver over at Marblehead. Traditional swimmer, picked up diving because the team, needed some points there, and he's really taken to it. He's been a state qualifier in not only diving but 53 and 100 backstroke. He's a team captain. He's a National Honor Society student. Had a chance to talk to him yesterday, and his legendary coach Susan Gerton. So we're going to be writing that in the next week or so, and looking forward to telling his story. He's a great kid from the undefeated magicians who, are well on their way to winning probably the 18th NEC title in a row or 20th title in a row as they get ready a month from now for their big meets, the sectionals in state. So looking forward to that.
All right, gentlemen, I guess we'll stop there, but good talking with you again this week, and we will talk again soon.
Thanks, Bill.